All right, I'm here with actor Alberto Bonilla, who graduated from Rutgers with an MFA
Yes.
in theater. Why don't you talk a little bit about when you first decided to start that journey as an actor? Was it in high school, or did you just decide to do it while you were at Rutgers studying?
Well, I guess the question would be like, there's two separate things. Like there's when I decided to be an actor, and then when I decided to go to Rutgers. I guess I'll start with the actor. It's very funny because people always ask me like, oh, why did you always like see a performance or something that got you spurned into becoming an actor? And I remember specifically, I got into acting because there was a girl I liked, and she was really hot, and I had this my mindset on like, oh, I'm gonna in high school I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was gonna go to like Wall Street or do something really cool and sell real estate, or I think I liked the idea of being Alex P. Keaton back then, Family Ties. If you get that, then you know how old I am. But and so like I followed her and I was like, hey, what are you doing? I'm talking with her and she goes, oh, I'm going to drama. What are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm going to drama class too. So I sat in there and I didn't know anything, and I was very bold, obviously. And then the teacher was like, oh my gosh, a new theater guy, he's here. And he's like, can you read this? I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, get up. And I just started doing it, and I found out that I really liked it and had like, this kind of like thing for it. So I kind of accidentally got into it. I never saw like a performance or anything that when I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, I want to be an actor. But I knew I wanted to like learn the craft about a year and a half later, after I'd gone through a big breakup and I had gotten into dance, or like liturgical dance with this group, and they were like paying me to dance, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go dance. It was like doing the story of Job, I think it was about. And so I go ahead and I do this dance stuff, and it's for church, and I'm like, okay, it's for church or whatever. And it's a sad story about a guy who loses everything and all this stuff. And then I went ahead and did it, and then afterwards I'm in the back, and this lady comes up to me. And I remember her being a very petite African-American woman, and she's crying. And she said, you dance beautifully. And I said, oh, thank you. And she said, and I wanted to come back and thank you. And I said, why? And she said, my husband died 2 years ago, and I've never been able to cry about it. And today is the first time I can cry about it.
Wow, that was really powerful.
I mean, I still get a little, it was like, and I remember instantly in that moment going, if that's what this can do, and I didn't even know what this art or acting was at the time, I was like, I want to do this the rest of my life. I want to do theater or tell stories that make people laugh or cry or change their point of view of the world. And that's when I decided to become an artist, or try to. I didn't even know what that was. So I guess it was like I got into acting because I was chasing a girl. But after that experience, that's when I was like, oh wait, I think I want to be an artist. So I went to undergrad, and back in the day it was kind of like the heyday of MFA programs. I think now it's come back. So I graduated in like '97 or whatever, and then my buddy was going out to Urdas, and he needed somebody who could drive too. And he was like, hey man, I'm going to Urdas. And I'm like, what the heck's an Urda? He's like, oh, it's the Unified Theater Auditions for all these MFA programs and all this, and I'm going to do this. And I'm like, well, I'll go with you. Yeah, I'll audition. I'll do that, because I had already planned to go out to LA, get an apartment. I had friends out there. I had auditioned for a thing with Disney at Disney Parks, and I had gotten cast, so I had a job already set out there. And so I went out to Los Angeles with him, and I auditioned. I did horrible. 3 schools called me back, 2 of which were like, but one was Rutgers, and it was Hal Scott. And I remember going to meet him afterwards, and there was like 20 people in the room talking to him, and I was like, oh, I'm not gonna get a chance to talk to this guy. So I leave, and I come back, I was once again bold again, and I was like, hey, I just gotta tell you, I don't know what I'm doing. I auditioned and I sucked. Is there anything you could help me with? And I remember Hal Scott saying, you know what, why don't you do this? Why don't you come back tomorrow and we'll work on your piece? And I was like, okay, great. So I leave. My buddy got into like 7 or 8 different colleges were all after him, and all those things back when Alabama Shakes had a program, all these things. And then I show up again for Hal, and I remember going in the hotel room, and he's there, and he's like, all right, let's start. And then we start working, and then all of a sudden, like, I actually, like, connected to the monologue. I actually had, like, I guess I really kind of discovered what it was to really act. And I was blown away, and I was like, I didn't know you could do this, like, as a craft. And Hal was like, yeah, that's what we teach at Rutgers, under William Esper and Maggie Flanagan, and I'm there, and Leonard Petit, one of my mentors. And so I was like, well, I want to go there. I don't want to go anywhere other school. I want to go to your school. And he says, well, we'll see. And then I got in. And I had no idea what I was in for until I got there. That's how I got into grad school. It was actually like, and then I came here to New York, so.
And what was your first part that you booked when you came here?
Oh, God.
Oh, God, because it's a horror film?
Oh, no. Okay. First television thing or theater thing?
It doesn't matter, whichever you would like to divulge.
The first theater thing I did, I played a terrorist in a really, really small production. And I was nerve-wracked because I didn't know, I'd never really worked in New York or anything like that. And one other person was actually doing a lot of work in New York, and so that was pretty tough. But the first thing that I was doing during the summers, one of my mentors who taught me a lot of fight choreography and stunt choreography, my fight mentor, his name's Jake Turner, and he went ahead and he was working on all the soaps, and he was like, hey, you're really good at stunt work, you want to come in and do this and help me out? So I started following him, and I learned a lot about fight choreography, stunt work, and he kind of brought me into that world, specifically film and TV, doing that. So I would say the first thing I did, I think, was As the World Turns, and then like All My Children, when I was still in grad school. I kind of started on that TV track. It was a while ago. Now I think back about it. That was so long ago. I teach a lot of film and television here in the city, and one of the things that I'm really sad that the soaps aren't here anymore, because I learned so much on those sets. And the guys that were, the regulars that I worked with were just so gracious. I'd have like, a scene with a couple lines or something, and then I would go and we would do the camera blocking, and there's so much pressure, and it was moving so quickly. And I would do it, and I wouldn't get any direction, because they just, all right, that's the camera rehearsal, let's get up and shoot. And then the guy would come over and be like, hold it up here, because the frame is here. And, and like, I cut my teeth on a soap set. And that just doesn't exist anymore for up-and-coming actors now. Like they get the student films or a digital film if they go and shoot it themselves, but there's no constant work that actually paid and helped get, so it's kind of sad. But I look at that on that fondly. I learned a lot of camera technique. And
then you delved obviously further into television and film.
Yeah, and I was very fortunate. I think my first. I think the first real kind of roles I started to get, I became reoccurring on Law and Order: Criminal Intent. Doing that, I get called in for that. I think I auditioned once, and then they just started calling me, which was really kind of nice. I had not experienced that in film and TV before or anything, so that was pretty good. And then film obviously came along too as well, so that was, yeah.
Did you have to do the prerequisite horror film when you were first starting out, or you?
Horror films, I usually worked on them as a stunt coordinator.
Okay.
So, God, from zombies, probably the worst film, the first one, I would say, like a feature film that I worked on. I worked on a really low budget karate film.
Okay.
And I think my character's name was Guy. I think,
in case you didn't know.
In case you didn't know.
Yeah, in case you
I was like the guy, and we showed up, and we had done like all these rehearsals for fight choreography and like all this martial arts stuff, and he didn't have any idea what he was doing. The director and the production company, he owned a dojo, so we'd go, we'd rehearse the dojo, we'd get up on the rooftop, and he'd be like, okay. We'd all be standing there going, we don't have a script, what are we doing? It was a disaster. So that's where I got that. And then I did a lot of fight choreography for horror films, zombies, bloods, people getting choked, eyes gouging, shot, things like that. So I was actually had a pretty lucky kind of path. I started a lot with a lot of under fives getting in, telling information, being consistent, telling the story, adding on to that, and then casting directors started to bring me in for larger parts. And that, yeah, I remember when I got my, I had been cast in The Sopranos, and it was great. Paulie Walnuts bursts in, he looks around, sees a guy, I go for the gun, get shot in the neck. And so I went in and I did the audition, and they loved me. It was like one line. And they were like, and then the stunt coordinator, he called me, Pete Picozzi called me, he's like, yeah, you got it, great. I'm like, oh great, I got it. So I told everybody, I'm gonna be on The Sopranos. I booked on The Sopranos. And then I get a call and he's like, yeah, they wanna see you again out in Jersey at The Sopranos house on set. And I'm like, okay, is this a callback? Or I thought I got the job. And they're like, no, they just want to see you. So I was smart. I wore the same thing I wore last time, and I showed up on set. And there were 3 other guys. And I'm like, it's a callback. Oh my God. So I went ahead and I did it, and I didn't get it.
Oh.
And he came out and he's like, I am so sorry. He's like, they love your acting, but they're going to go with this guy. And I was like, oh. Was heartbroken. He's like, I'm gonna get you on it, I swear. So later on, I auditioned again, and then I actually got a part with a speaking role in Artie's restaurant, arguing with him, and he flips the table, and I got to tell him. It was just, oh, so cool. I got to yell on set, and actually, it's funny, Deidre, who also had gone to Rutgers, somebody else, I show up, and she's on set, and I'm having like a moment with her on there, so it was really kind of fun to have that. So I actually got a larger role on that, but I remember having to call everybody, and I mean I had called everybody and be like, yeah, I'm not gonna be on Sopranos. I got uncast. I got uncast on The Sopranos. It just killed me.
And you were recently on Blue Bloods, which was an intense part.
Yeah, Blue Bloods was really fun. It was great because that was the 14th time I had auditioned for that.
At least, yeah, 13th would be bad though.
I know, right. But it was like the 14th, and it wasn't anything bad. It's just like I would go in, the casting office is amazing, they're wonderful. They must like me, obviously, because I've been in several times. And I always wanted to book it. It was like one of those things. I was like, oh, I want to book this. I want to book this. And it's funny because I had another friend who had gotten 7 or 8 callbacks for Sopranos, and he never got it. So you've been to Silver Cup so many times, and casting loved him because sometimes it's just like, sometimes you just don't get it, and it's not your acting, and it's not anything you're doing. It's just the way the chips fall. Right. And the chips for me on Blue Bloods had fallen 13 times, and then the 14th time I finally got it. And I remember calling my manager, going, "Guess what? I finally broke the curse or whatever." It's like I finally got it. I was like, "Oh, great!" And then it was really fun to go on set to be a really bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. And now what's coming up for you? Still pursuing episodic? Are you?
Yeah.
You're teaching, you mentioned.
Yes. I teach film and television, specifically camera technique, audition technique, and all of those things. I've just written a web series, which a production company I'm in negotiations with right now.
The way to go.
Yeah.
This time.
Yeah, it's
in our history.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I really feel there's no excuse for an actor not to have any video of themselves. There's so many outlets out there. So that's going really good. I've been shooting and writing a lot more. I'm a playwright as well. So I've been writing a new play, well, 2 of them actually, and the series as well. I just got a call today for a role that I did a reading of before, which hopefully they're going to bring the play to Theater Row, which is a fantastic play about it's about a Hispanic family in New Mexico that actually they're hidden Jews. They're actually Jewish. Okay. And it's hidden, and then the son doesn't know, and then he says something very bad and something anti-Semitic, and then he finds out that no, he's actually Jewish himself. It's a really great play, so I'm really excited for that to go to Theater Row this coming year. And auditioning and trying to break in as always, just doing the grind.
Very cool. Alberto, thank you so much for
Sure.
taking the time to sit down with me.
Absolutely.
I look forward to hearing about the play. Hopefully you get the part, and we'll reconvene at the theater and
Absolutely.
do a follow-up.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you.